My name is Stickman, a detective specializing in extraordinary cases, from sinking ships and missing planes to a mountain that exploded like nothing else in history. But today, I'm not investigating a crime made by humans. I'm chasing a crime committed by nature itself. A disaster so huge, its sound was heard thousands of kilometers away, echoing around the entire planet. Today's case, the eruption of Mount Krakatoa, 1883. One of the most powerful natural disasters in modern history. Sounds wild, right? Wait till you hear how insane it really was. Krakatoa Hassan T. Just an ordinary volcano. It was a ticking time bomb, silently waiting for centuries to blow. But before we talk about the explosion, let's get to know our suspect first. Krakatoa sits in the Sunda Strait, between the islands of Java and Sumatra. From above, it looked peaceful. A small green island surrounded by deep blue sea. But beneath that beauty, it held a power capable of shaking the world. Since the 1600s, both locals and Dutch colonists knew Krakatoa was active. Sometimes it coughed, sometimes it smoked, but after many quiet years, people forgot it could ever get angry again. Then came 1883. At first, only small signs, distant rumbles, trembling ground, and faint smoke in the sky. People living near Enier and Lampung didn't panic. Just the volcano burping again, they thought. But in May, Krakatoa started acting up for real. Explosions echoed across the sea. Ash poured into the sky. At night, the horizon glowed red and orange. And then, on August 26, 1883, what began as a quiet morning turned into the beginning of the end. The first explosion sounded like a massive bomb. The air shook, windows shattered along the coasts. Stickman me was calmly eating noodles near the shore when boom, my bowl flew into the air. The sky turned dark, even though it was midday. Black ash began to fall like heavy rain. Ships passing through the Sunda Strait heard the blasts, but had no idea where they came from. Some thought it was war. But that was just the opening act. The next day, August 27th, Krakatoa unleashed its full fury. The eruption split the island apart. The sound of the blast was heard all the way in Western Australia and even on Rodrigues Island, in the Indian Ocean, nearly 4,800 kilometers away. It wasn't just loud, it was the loudest sound ever recorded in human history. If you were within 160 kilometers, your eardrums would have literally burst. Reports say that in Batavia and Jakarta, every window shattered. People panicked as the pressure waves from the blast circled the Earth 7 times. Yes, 7. The planet itself rang like a gigantic bell struck by Krakatoa, but the sound wasn't the deadliest part. What came next was far worse. The eruption triggered a massive tsunami. Waves over 40 meters high. They crashed into the coastlines of Java and Sumatra, wiping out entire towns. Enia, Telak, Beiton gone. Thousands of homes destroyed, ships thrown inland, some ending up several kilometers away from the shore. One of the most famous stories was about the old lighthouse at Enia. It was built to guide ships through the strait, but the tsunami destroyed it completely. The lighthouse, standing there today, it's the rebuilt one. Built after the tragedy, beneath the sea nearby still lie the ruins of the old town and its people. The death toll. More than 36,000 people were killed. Some estimates say even 40,000. Most didn't die from lava, but from the tsunami and burning ash clouds that spread for miles. And the tragedy didn't stop in Indonesia. The sky across the world changed. Krakatoa's ash rose more than 30 kilometers into the atmosphere, circling the globe. For weeks, sunsets in Europe and America glowed black. The twilight turned purple, orange, golden, eerie, and beautiful. Some even believe the famous painting The Scream by Edvard Munch was inspired by those strange post-Krakatoa skies. The eruption changed the world's climate too. Global temperatures dropped by about 1.2 degrees Celsius for several years. Winters grew longer in Europe and North America. Crops failed. So even though Krakatoa was a small volcano in distant Indonesia, its impact reached every continent. Krakatoa was basically the influencer of nature. One post, and the whole world reacted. As a detective, I wasn't satisfied just saying there was a big explosion. I wanted to know why. Why was Krakatoa so much more powerful than other volcanoes? After digging through scientific reports and old records, I found the key. Krakatoa's explosion happened because of a super reaction between magma and seawater. Its magma chamber sat right beneath the sea. When the pressure finally broke through, seawater rushed in. And when cold water meets molten rock at over 1,000 degrees Celsius, it instantly turns to steam and boom. That's called a phreatomagmatic explosion. The result, half the island literally vanished from the map. In the chaos, survivors told incredible stories. Dutch sailors saw walls of water taller than 10-story buildings rushing toward them. Villagers in Lampang ran for their lives up the hills. Some thought the end of the world had come. Daylight vanished, and the air felt like fire. After the eruption, Krakatoa was gone. The island where it once stood had collapsed into the sea, leaving behind a 6-kilometer-wide crater. For decades, the area was quiet, as if the volcano had finally died. But volcanoes never really die, do they? In 1927, something new emerged from the middle of the crater. A small puff of smoke, then a cone of black rock rising from the waves. People called it Anak Krakatau, the child of Krakatoa. And it's still alive today. Sometimes calm, sometimes coughing, smoke, and lava. In 2018, part of Anak Krakatau's body collapsed into the sea, triggering another tsunami that hit Banten and Lampang, as if it wanted to remind us, I'm not done yet. When you think about it, the story of Krakatoa isn't just about destruction. It's about how nature works. Powerful, magnificent, unpredictable. Krakatoa showed us how small humans truly are compared to the forces of the earth. We can build cities, write books, invent technology, but a single eruption can change everything. For scientists, Krakatoa was a turning point. It taught the world about volcanology, early warning systems, and global climate effects. It proved that a volcanic eruption could alter the Earth's atmosphere itself. Without Krakatoa, we might not have learned so quickly how volcanoes influence our planet's climate. For me, as a detective of disasters, Krakatoa is a symbol of human arrogance. We often think we've figured everything out until nature reminds us we haven't. It's the same story as the Titanic, or Chernobyl. Whenever we underestimate power, whether natural or man-made, it comes back to bite us. Now imagine this in 1883, with no internet, no satellites, no global communication. The entire world still knew something huge had happened, because the skies changed. The sunsets darkened. The air turned strange for months. That's how global Krakatoa's impact was. A single volcano in the middle of the ocean changed the entire planet's atmosphere. And even now, Anak Krakatoa still stands there, quiet but alive. If you sail through the Sunda Strait and see a small plume of smoke in the distance, that is probably it. Silent, but still holding the same ancient power. So what's the lesson here? The Earth isn't just a place we live on. It's a living giant, breathing, moving, and sometimes exploding. Krakatoa was one of its deep breaths, a reminder that nature always has the final word. And me, Stickman, the detective, I'll keep chasing stories like this, because behind every catastrophe, there's always a mystery, and behind every mystery, there's always a lesson worth learning. Tomorrow, I'll open a new case, another disaster, another story. Until then, take care of the Earth, and never underestimate its power. Because sometimes, the calmest things are the most dangerous. Case closed. The eruption of Mount Krakatoa, 1883.